Okay, can you guys hear me now? No audio. Okay. There's audio now, I think. Perfect. All right, let's start again. Welcome, everyone. Finally, I unmuted my mic. Well, of course, nothing went as planned, but we're finally here. Mostly for English-speaking viewers, as I mentioned before, but I'll have a Russian-speaking viewer stream some other time, so we'll have a chance to chat there. Для всех русскоговорящих зрителей будет отдельный стрим на русском языке, где мы сможем пообщаться на русском языке. Пока будем общаться на английском, но я постараюсь ответить на вопросы, если какие-то вопросы в чате появятся. Marty, are you still you still can't hear me? All right. Let's see. Oh, we've got a lot of viewers here. We've got viewers from all over the world, I see. Perfect. Okay. All right. I can already see some questions regarding the some video requests, and this one's from Marty. Yeah, about the repairs of that dreadful wire harness, the door wire harness. So it actually came to my attention recently. I got a comment and I checked it, and it appears to be true. So the thing is, the new wire harness for that driver door that solves a lot of issues with the uh, lift gate, the tailgate, with doors not working, the window regulators not working. So it used to be a really cheap solution. You could buy it like a $20 new wire harness from Acura, and just get it replaced and get it done, which is what I did. I had the video on it, but it came to my attention that the price for that wire harness went up significantly, and apparently costs like around $100 now. So obviously that's no longer a cheap solution. So my suggestion for that would be to, if you can't do it yourself, if you're not handy with soldering iron, for example, just get it out and get it to some basic electronic repair shop, and get them do it. It's really straightforward. It's just basically resoldering the wires to the pins in the plug, and that's it. It shouldn't cost much, I would think. Probably around the same $20 as the new harness used to cost. But yeah, I'd like to make a video. Obviously, I have a new one installed, so I don't know how long is this gonna take for that one to break. Hopefully, not in my lifetime, but we'll see. All right. So I didn't have much planned for this live stream, to be honest with you. Just well, I've been asked many times to do that, but that's not something I had in mind for a while. But we're doing it now, so all is good. Now I see some people from Toronto, New York, Oregon, Kiev. Nice. Yeah. All right. So you can post your questions or anything in the obviously in chat. So I'll try to get to as many as I can. But for now, maybe a little backstory for the channel. Um, some of you might not know. Uh, so me personally, I didn't have a driver's license until I turned probably 31, if I remember correctly. So I actually didn't have a driver's license and I didn't drive a car until I came to Canada. I was always driven around. It just used to be a part of my job back in Ukraine. And not driven around like a some important person or anything. It's just the nature of the work that I did. I used to be a ship agent, so a representative of a foreign ship owner or operator in a Ukrainian port. And so my job was to work with the authorities, customs, immigration, different kind of services to kind of well get the vessel into the port, get it cleared for loading on unloading the cargo, that sort of stuff. So we had dedicated drivers who drove us around, me among others, among other colleagues. Um, and this was basically done to kind of eliminate that extra, I guess, risk and extra time spent and effort for driving around, both driving around and doing those formalities. So we had dedicated drivers who only drove us, and we had agents who worked. So that was the kind of backstory there. So I didn't even, honestly, I didn't even have to drive a car. I didn't like there was no purpose for me, so I didn't have a driver's license. Obviously, it all changed when I came to Canada. Big distances, especially with the son. We like had to drive him around a lot and that sort of stuff. Um, so, got the driver's license. This is my first car, by the way, the first and only so far. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, so that's a little bit of a backstory. And when I got the car, I wasn't into cars in terms of like making any repairs previously, so I didn't have any experience with that. But with time, I got interested in it, and I started doing some small stuff. Like what was the first thing I did? Probably the brakes, changing brakes, or like brakes and brake pads and disc rotors, obviously disc rotors, brake rotors. So yeah, and one thing led to another. Tried more complicated stuff later. Um, Probably the first big thing was the timing belt back in 2014. This was a huge undertaking, obviously, especially for a guy who never done anything like that before. I had some help, so I had a friend of mine that I went to his house, and basically we spent like 2 days doing that. Okay, I'll just pause for now and let's see if I have any questions I can answer. Okay, first question, when is Acura Addicted Season 5 coming out? Thank you, son. This is my son, Kirill dash boy in chat. Good question. I can tell you that right now I have all the source material for fifth season. I haven't even started editing anything there yet. Right now I'm stuck on editing some Lexus stuff, the Lexus IS 350, which I'll demonstrate a little bit down the road in the stream, just to show you guys what the process for editing those videos is a little bit, just so you had an idea of what it involves and how it looks on the back end. But to answer your question, my plan for season 5 to come out is sometime in the end of spring or beginning of summer. If I can't make it earlier, that would be the that would be the day I'm aiming for. So something along those lines. Okay, next question about the repair video requests on the low oil pressure sensor. For some reason, Brad, thank you for that question. Look, man, for some reason that's a really hot topic now. Um, Everybody's asking this question, and I see we have our WhatsApp group with the owners of MDXs in Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, Kazakhstan, so former USSR countries, basically. And this has been a hot topic for the past 2 days. They've been discussing like this dreadful oil pressure sensor, apparently replacing it once, a year later it's coming back, the issue with the flashing warning of the low oil pressure. So I gotta say, so the answer to this question is twofold. I don't do videos on something artificial which I don't have the problem for. So for example, I have request for this oil pressure sensor, right? Mine is working fine. So just consider this. Why would I be, making a video on something that's not broken on my car, right? I mean, I could just pretend that it's broken and just take it out and replace it with a new one, or even show you how it's done. But that would defeat the purpose of these videos, right? So the purpose of the videos is that I have some kind of a problem with the car, and I try to solve it by fixing something or replacing something, and then see if it works. And in the end of the video, if it works, that's great. That means that I did something right? In case with mine, it's working. So even if I take it out and put it back in, that wouldn't solve the issue because I don't have any, right? But of course, I promise you that if I have that issue, that would be made a video about for sure. But I don't have any timeline for that, obviously. And honestly, to be honest with you, I hope it doesn't happen. Also, another thing interesting. So as far as I remember, that sensor is going directly into the oil pump, kind of on the top right corner of the oil pump. So if that's true, I'm pretty sure that the new oil pump that I installed just this summer, when I was doing the timing belt, I think that oil pump already has the new sensor in. So I hate to disappoint you, but that's probably never gonna happen. Next question. Oh, thank you for your kind words, Alvin. Next question from Craig Anderson. 2004 MDX, 185,000 miles. Do I need to do valve adjustment if I don't have misfire codes? So it's a good question. Thank you for that question, Craig. Let's start with how Acura treats valve adjustment. Now, Acura says adjust valves only if they're noisy, right? In the maintenance minder list of the things that you need to do with your car, when you see those codes A, B, and the digits, it almost always says adjust valves if noisy. So while I mostly agree with the manufacturer in terms of how to service your car and how to repair your car, in this particular case, I'm pretty sure that if they're noisy, it might be already too late. So it's a good idea to do those valve adjustments at some certain intervals. And what I would do is I would do them at 100,000 miles while you're doing the timing belt, while you're doing the spark plugs. Just do the valve adjustments at that time. At least not adjustments, but measure them, make sure that they're all right. Because I can tell you that my first valve adjustment didn't actually happen because I opened the heads, and in 2014 at the same time as I was doing the timing belt, and I measured them, and they were completely fine. They were within the specs, I mean the gaps. So I just left it as is. Just close the valves and close the covers, and that's it. Went along with it. So that was at 100,000 miles as well. Um, I did the valve adjustment, as you could all see in my video. Uh, I wouldn't say very recently, but last year. Um, that was at probably 150,000 miles, 160. So to answer your question, sorry for the long answer, but Craig, I would definitely do at least check the valve clearances at 185,000 miles for sure. If you do it yourself, that's fine. If you don't trust yourself, you don't think that you trust yourself for doing that, just you can trust a reputable shop if you have any mechanic um, to do that. But yeah, yeah, and misfire codes, um, you know, not having any misfire codes doesn't mean that you don't need the adjustment. New World, thank you for your kind words as well in Russian. 297,000 kilometers. That's about what, 170,000? 185,000 miles. Great. That's great mileage. That's about what I have, a little under that. Ben, congrats getting a 2008 MDX. That's a good year. Anything 2007, 2008, and 2009 are great years. 2010 to 2013 could be a gamble with your oil burning and engine. So, Alexander here, my friend, happy belated birthday to you, is asking, why do you hate Korean cars? Very good question. Thank you, Alexander. I'd like to clear some air here and say that I do not hate Korean cars. I just have a weird thing in my mind that I wouldn't drive one. Like, I mean, I wouldn't have one. Again, nothing against Korean cars. They've been getting better and better lately. In fact, this last auto show in Toronto, I went when I sat in the cheapest Elantra, I believe, the new one, which from outside looks, in my opinion, horrific. Like, you look at it and it's like, you know. But when I sat in the car, it just boggles my mind. The quality of the materials there, the ergonomics, how everything is laid out, how comfortable it is. I've sat in $100,000 BMWs, Mercedes, like highest trim models, AMG, whatever. Nothing is even close to a $30,000 Elantra inside. Quality of materials, touch and feel, everything around you. It's like, it's mind boggling. So, to answer your question, Alexander, not hating on Korean cars is just my own personal thing. Um, you know, I don't want one, but to each their own. По поводу фонарей задних на третье поколение MDX напишите мне на email acura.addicted@gmail.com. Я постараюсь связать вас с людьми, которые могут помочь вам в этом вопросе. Next question from Marty. Do you have a target amount of miles in mind that you hope to get out of your 2008 MDX? Thanks for the backstory. I didn't know that. Okay. First of all, Marty, I'd like to thank you very much for inviting me into that Facebook group. It's it's been really fun to get a new to rekindle my light for helping out with some answers or helping direct people into the solutions and stuff. So it's been really fun. Now I don't love how Facebook works in terms of conveying the material, and that's why I was reluctant to make my own Facebook group, that sort of stuff. It's just when somebody posts, it kind of precedes the previous post. It's really hard to find previous posts and answers, and it's not as well as organized as a forum like mdxers.org, for example. But I think you made it work, and thank you for that. Now to your question. I don't really have a target. I always said I'm planning to run this car into the ground, so until it goes, it goes, Obviously, this car is a huge thing for me. First of all, it's my first car. Secondly, it's the car that helped me start this channel and bring it to whatever it is today. Almost 10,000 subscribers. Lots of people helped, that sort of thing, which was the main goal for that. So, until something major happens, which I hope it doesn't, I'm gonna have it. But if I have to put some sort of a mileage to it, I would say 500,000 miles. Let's put it that way, which is a long way ahead, because I'm basically at about 185 right now. Ben asks another question about his car. So apparently it needs catalytic converter 1. Steering rack is going and motor mount is going. Is it time to let it go? It's a good question. I guess it all depends on what you are planning for it, right? Obviously, it might be very different, and it's probably going to be different for me and you, right? Because for me, it is not only something that is an essential part of my life, right? Everyday life, even with all this thing that's started happening in 2020. I didn't use it as much, obviously, but still, it's a big part of my life. It's a big part of something I do here. So I wouldn't let it go with those problems personally. And I can tell you already that I'm probably already starting having a problem with the steering rack as well, because I can see some dripping out of those boots, the inner tie rod boots. So probably on its way as well somewhere. For the Bank One Cat, that's probably gonna be your biggest investment in terms of the parts. So you don't have to go with the OEM one. There's plenty of aftermarket ones you can get, even the certified ones. So maybe it's something you wanna go. But basically, it all comes down to this: you get a quote on what it costs to get those results, and you see what the amount is, and then you see how much you can get out of your car if you sell it, and add that amount and buy a new one. if you can buy a newer car without those problems, why don't you do that? That would be my advice. Next question. Trailing arms. Any advice while replacing rear trailing arms? I've decided to replace the entire arm rather than new bushings. Wise choice. Wise choice. Um, Getting the new bushings means that you'll have to remove it from the car, get it somewhere you can install the bushings, get it back. It's like it's a big deal. Like I would just get a new trailing arm, even if it's not IEM. Just get a new trailing arm or both of them. Yeah. So it's a good question. That's actually something I was planning to do in 2021, back a couple of years ago. But now that I have so many things I need to do, I'm not even sure I can do that this year. I was planning to to replace the whole rear end, right? I mean, rear suspension. So trailing arms, lower control arm, um, upper control arm, springs, possibly the shocks again while I'm at it. Obviously the stabilizer bar links, bushings, that sort of stuff. So completely replace everything there that I can. Because I already start to see that those trailing arm bushings are really cracking away. So not good. And I already started hearing a couple of years ago. I already started hearing the uh, the squeaking, which is the first kind of sign that they're going. So any advice? Yeah, I'm still planning to tackle that. So if you're doing it yourself, just make sure that you stabilize the car properly, on stands and on jack and on everything. I would have just like you make sure you have double um, um, insurance, as I would call it. So put two stands if you only need one, that sort of stuff. So the car is really stable when you're doing it, right? Because you'll have to probably apply a lot of force there to get them out from there, specifically for if we're looking at the uh, nuts, right? I don't even know like how difficult it's gonna be. Alvin Rodriguez is asking, have you had problems with your GPS monitor? Uh, I'm assuming you mean the monitor in the tech model that's in the middle, where you can turn the GPS on. I didn't have any problems per se. Honestly, for the last 3 or 4 years, I haven't been really using it. Maybe just in very rare occasions, because I mostly use Waze. And I used it on just my smartphone. Now I have the uh, what's it called? Oh my God, the nav tool, the dreadful nav tool that I paid 500 freaking US dollars for, and it's not worth it. Okay, let's see. But what kind of problems do you mean? Like it's not working at all for you? The GPS doesn't work, or the monitor doesn't work for you at all? Let me know in the chat. I have a question about recommendations on the motor oil, engine oil from Quebec. So the oil I've been using since 2014 exclusively for this car is Pennzoil Platinum or Platinum Ultra when they started selling here. 5W20, just as the manufacturer prescribed, but that is true fully synthetic oil that's made from natural gas. So it's been really great. I, again, recently opened my head covers to do the valves. It looks I can tell you that it looks better than it used to look in 2014 when I was still going to the dealer for oil changes and they were just using the blend, whatever blend they have. Much cleaner, runs smoother for sure, especially when you shut the car off. Like immediately when I started using that oil, about 2 weeks after, I noticed that, when you shut the car off, there's no shutter, there's no nothing. It's just like, that's it. Awesome. So great oil, highly recommended. It's consistently on sale here in Canada in Canadian Tire for an equivalent of about like 20, 25 bucks US for the 5 liter jug, which is more than you need for the oil change. So, and I'm pretty sure in US you can get it for cheap as well if you need. So in Quebec, obviously, I don't see any problem with that. Efferon says, I bought my 2008 with 64,000 miles. I'm guessing for $8,300. I think it's a good price for such a low mileage. I hope it's real mileage. This means that this mileage is lower than when I bought mine, because when I bought mine in 2011, it was at 77,000 miles. And it's a US car, by the way. Do you know of any mods to get some more horsepower out of my 2008 MDX? Yes, I do. All of them involve a huge amount of money investment and effort investment, and the output of that will not be satisfactory, in my opinion. People have done the superchargers. Obviously, flashing the ECU, that sort of stuff. But I don't know if you know or not, but this J37A engine is Honda's most expensive, most powerful V6 engine they have ever produced. And they have not produced anything more powerful ever since in V6. And I don't think they will, because everything is 4-cylinder now. Everything is turbocharged, double turbocharged, that sort of stuff. So to answer your question, not worth it. In my opinion, not worth it. It's very expensive and it's not worth it. Alexander is asking, when are we doing Acura projects, such as old generations, maybe RL, RSX, or Integra? Alexander, give me a call when you buy one. We'll talk about it. I'm down for that. So, has anyone installed 4x4 lift? I haven't. No plans. I don't see a reason for that. This car is not an off-roading vehicle. It has some off-roading capabilities, and it's very capable for what it is, I think. But it's not an off-road meant vehicle, and I don't see a sense in that. But I've seen some people do that, so. Thanks for all you do. Thank you, Derek. I have a question in Russian asking about the low beams. Антон, ответ на вопрос по ближнему свету очень простой. Какие бы ты лампы туда ни поставил, какой бы мощности ты туда ни поставил, проблема ближнего света заключается не в лампах, а в отражателях. Там у меня где-то, по-моему, в 4 сезоне в превью, если ты посмотришь, был скриншот кастомных прожекторов, да, этих отражателей, в которых сделаны вырезы побольше сделаны, и У меня так руки не дошли еще пока установить. Как только дойдут, я выпущу видео, конечно. Но без новых отражателей кастомных, без ретрофита, чего-то там искать, какого-то более яркого, я бы не стал. So just a quick wrap up of what I was just talking about in Russian was the question was about not being satisfied with the low beam output, and the question was, I guess, is there any bulbs that can improve that? Simple answer is no. Whatever you put in there will be limited by the projectors themselves that are in the headlights, and the construction, the design of how they're made. They have a very, very narrow hole in those projectors, in the cover of those projectors, that does not allow a good output of light. Even without changing the lens in the actual projectors, you wouldn't be able to achieve anything significantly better. So the answer to improve to your low beams is to retrofit, replace the projectors, and possibly lens. You can use the old lens, but the projectors need to be replaced. Thank you, Marty. It was one of the best things about 2021 is having you join our Facebook group. Glad to be of help. Brad is asking, do you have a trailer hitch on your MDX, or do you plan on putting one on, even if it's just for a cargo rack, like a bike rack? I do, in fact, have a trailer hitch. I'm pretty sure it's OEM, and it was there when I got the car. I have not used it once. All it's doing is rusting, but I haven't taken it off for two reasons. One of the reasons is because I got so much going on. I just didn't have any time or, desire to do that, because, you would have to get under the car, remove it. I'll probably do it sometime. And the second reason I haven't removed it is because in my mind, it just gives me an extra peace of mind for getting rear-ended, because it kind of protrudes a little bit behind the bumper, the rear bumper. So my thought is, if anyone is going to rear end me, that trailer hitch bulb is gonna probably provide some additional protection to the rear bumper, and that sort of stuff. Probably just in my mind, but who knows? Are you going to retrofit your headlights? Yes, I am going to retrofit my headlights. I had the new projector sitting around since 2018. I think 2021 is finally going to be the year when I do it. I have high hopes, but don't count on it. Thank you guys for all your kind words. It's really pleasant to read. Thank you. Marty is asking, do you use the Acura service manual? Yes, I do use the Acura service manual specifically for the 2007 MDX, which is also good until, well, it's probably good for all the second generation, but there is a separate service manual for 2010 plus cars that obviously has a little bit of differences depending on the new technology that was used in those cars. One particular thing I can mention that I know for sure about the service manual difference for the 2010 plus cars is when you put back your valve covers in the 2010 to 2013 cars, they encourage you to put 2 dabs of Honda Bond in certain places, like you usually do with other Hondas at Acuras when you put the valve cover back, which you don't have to do for 2008. There's no such step in the manual for 2008, but for 2010, apparently there is. So I have both, and I have been using it extensively. Most of the things that I do are from the service manual. Well, when it comes to my car, of course, if I do something on, Alex's car or someone else's car, I don't care as much. I just like win it. All right. Let's see. Another question from Vadim. He's asking about where can I buy the Bluetooth module for 2007 for cheap. The answer is nowhere. You can't buy cheap. Even a used one will cost you at least $100, which is not worth it, I think. So unless you find it from a wrecked car, salvage yard where you pay like a certain amount of money, you go in and you bring, you take away as many parts as you can possibly hold in your hands. And if there's a Bluetooth module there, get one. Hope that it works. It might not. But to kind of expand on that question of the Bluetooth module, I disconnected it 5 years ago, something like that, 4 or 5 years ago. Never looked back. As you may know, for 2007 to 2009 cars, it only served the purpose of the hands-free link. So no music streaming or anything. So I didn't lose anything. Like with a modern smartphone, put it on speaker, you can hear as good, if not better. So not much of a loss for me, honestly. Mark Astro is asking, for MDX with active damper, if I change the suspension, is it fine to use non-OEM or base model suspension? What would you recommend? It's a great question. I'm really glad you asked. So the answer is very simple. I do not recommend any non-IEM suspension components in terms of the dampers, shocks, whatever you want to call them, for a simple reason that the OEM ones, non-ADS, non-active dampers, you can usually get it for cheap. When I was replacing mine, it cost me about $750, converted from Canadian. Now, of course, I have a 15% off at my dealership when I get the parts, but even with no discount or rebate, whatever you want to call it, you should be able to get all four corners for like about $1,000 with tax, so go for it. You don't have to go to your Acura dealer. Just go to one of those online shops. If you live in US, it's not a big deal. OEMAcuraparts.com is the source of where I get all the part numbers of the stuff that people are asking for if they're asking for a part or something like that. See how much it costs. See if you can get it for decent amount of money. All of the aftermarket stuff is not that great. You can probably get away with replacing rears with the KYB, which is the OEM manufacturer for the OEM ones as well. For the front ones, I always tell, replace the whole assembly. Take out the assembly as I did, put the new one in, bolt it on, go to the alignment, done. I know some people are keen of, taking it out, taking this, using spring compressors, all that nonsense. Like you spending so much time and doing something that could have been avoided for like an extra $50. Not worth it, in my opinion, but to each their own, of course. So my advice would be not to go with anything non-OEM in terms of the shocks. I've heard reports of them going bad really quickly, them not being as good, dampening, completely not worth in my opinion. I replaced mine in 2017. It's 2021 now, 4 years later. I still have no issues with the OEM ones. So hopefully that's enough to persuade you. Yeah, Vadim, about your question regarding the Bluetooth, in Canada, salvage yards, but you won't know if it's working or not. Sean is asking, what oil filter do you use? OEM? What aftermarket filter? From 2014, when I started using the Pennzoil Platinum and Platinum Ultra, I started using the Fram synthetic filter, which is XG37, sorry, 7317, I believe. Let's check that. Yeah, XG7317. It's Fram Ultra. It's a specific filter for synthetic oil that I have. I know there's a lot of controversy regarding the Fram filters. I've seen, I think, all of the videos on these filters being disassembled, cut in half, that sort of stuff, comparing with good quality filters, Mobile One, that sort of stuff. But this one is a special filter. It's not one of those crappy ones. I've seen a lot of videos of cutting it in half and checking the inside, and I think most came to the conclusion that it's a good filter. I haven't had any problems with that, so I recommend it for sure. What are your thoughts on ILX hybrids? Next question. No, but seriously, it's hard to know. I haven't worked on one outside of that rattling cat shield that we did. So, don't know. If it works, it works, Marty Wheelie asks about J-pipe. Yeah, I think I've already addressed that question before, but just for the live stream, I was looking into J-pipe. I've seen a couple of videos on how to do it. Apparently very simple, nothing out of the regular DUI, like simple level DUI. But I think most, if not all of those people who did the J-pipe came to the conclusion that it doesn't really do much. Maybe the sound from outside could be, is better. Something, maybe it's great. Inside, I've heard those recordings. To be honest with you, like, I'm not impressed, And again, this is not a sports car, right? So I get that you're trying to get it more sportier, but I don't know. Maybe I'll do it sometime. I don't know. Maybe, if that cat goes bad, and it's time to do something there, might as well just do the J pipe. We'll see. No plans for that now, though. Gearbox jolts from first to second. Should I be worried? No. The second generation MDX, both 5 and 6 speed transmissions, are solid transmissions. If you service them right, which is, if you see the code for replacing the ATF, you buy DW1 ATF from Acura or Honda, you drain whatever's there, put the plug back in, you put back the same amount that you drained, that's it. That's the proper service. Nothing out of that. It should be rock solid. If your car is a little bit jumpy from the first to second gear, my suggestion would be first change the ATF and see if that improves anything. If that doesn't improve anything, it's probably one of the transmission pressure switches. So, well, not one of them, but the first one. Oh, if it makes you feel any better, I also have that. So I've had that for probably 5 or 6 years. Didn't get to change those pressure switches yet. Sean is asking, for the 2011 MDX, the reverse lights aren't that good. Do you think there is a value in getting better bulbs? Yes, I've heard multiple reports on people getting better LED bulbs in the reverse lights that obviously make everything brighter, and the brighter it is, the better, especially for the camera, because for 2010 and 2011 and 12 and 13, the reverse camera is worse actually than reportedly than for 2007 to 2009. So it needs better light to properly show the surroundings in nighttime. So yeah, some people also reported that aside from getting better bulbs for the reverse light, getting better bulbs for the license plate light, which I have a video on as well, that adds more light. So got the P2422 code, check emission system, decided to replace the evap purge valve like you did in the video. After checking connections and part is on order. I hope this fixes the code. Thanks. You're welcome. Just to expand a little bit on that, check emission system can be a lot of things, because emission system consists of a lot of components. So before replacing anything, even if it's not an expensive thing like the evap purge valve, which was my first video, by the way, what you do is you properly diagnose what the issue is. Because throwing parts at something and hoping that would take care of that, and if it does, it's great. But what if it doesn't? You just spent $100, $200, or $300 on something that you didn't need, right? So as hard as it is to say goodbye to your money, which you will pay for diagnostics, that is likely to save you more money down the road, right? Get it diagnosed properly, which is what I did for that specific code, and go from there. Okay, where are we at? Oh, we're at about 1 hour. Nice. It's going much faster than I thought it would be. You guys are a great audience. Thank you very much. And thank you for showing up. We have 36 people watching. I've answered probably already like a dozen questions. That's awesome. All right, let's see. Whoops. Okay. Next question. ¿Habla español? No. Mike across the hall is asking, I have a funny rattle that goes away after a few minutes driving. Any ideas why? What kind of rattle? A rattle can be many things. Usually the rattling is happening at a certain RPM of the engine when something specifically resonates with that RPM, with that frequency. And the most likely thing to rattle is usually a catalytic converter heat shield front, rear. So I actually had one rattle at like about 2000 RPM. And yeah, I have a video on that. I mean, I don't have a video on that. I have shot a video, but I have not made a video yet. And it's just a matter of basically loose shields. The usually the bolt and the nut or the shield itself is just rotten out because it's not made from stainless steel, I guess, but it's rotten out and starting to rattle because it's not properly secure. What you usually do, and it's applicable for all the cars, and that's Eric the car guy showed me, is just put a clamp on it. That's it, goes away. It's a little hard to get to it. I was lucky enough. Mine was the rear one, the rear bank. Even with the rear one, it's not that simple to get to it. Like it's in such a place that it's like it's not hard to get to it. It's hard to put a clamp and secure it. That's what I mean, right? And I don't have a lift. If I had a lift, I would just come from under the car and just did it, no problem. But I don't. So check your heat shields first, and it's really easy to do. The procedure that I used was I asked someone to get at the wheel, not the steering wheel. I mean, inside the car, start the car, put the foot on the brake, put the car in reverse or in drive, and hold the car obviously so it doesn't move. And then what I did, I just took a breaker bar, put it in so I could touch the heat shield, and just pressed on it and kept it with my hand, and the rattling stopped. So immediately that's a sign that that's exactly what's rattling, right? So we shut off the car and I put a clamp on it, and that's it. Craig Anderson is asking, I installed a trailer hitch on 2004 MDX to hold bikes. Also use a Yakima box on top of skiing. Okay, I guess it's not the question, it's just information. Hashtag legend, hashtag Bogdan. Thank you, Richard, for your kind words. And Marty. Татарстан Супергуд, здорово. Привет. Do you think the MDX will perform good with a K&N cold air intake? I don't think it would make much of a difference, to be honest with you. Modding a car, if you're serious about it, modding a car, even I know, like what do I know? I just had one car, right? Obviously, I've been exposed to many other cars in my life, but I'm not an expert on that. But from what I understand, if you're serious about modding your car, it's not just a matter of putting one little small mod. It might be it for you, just for the purpose of just I guess being satisfied, like, look, I did something, right? That could be great as well, right? If you do something for your car yourself, it's really, really satisfying to know that you did something, But generally, if you're modding your car, like putting cold air intake only will not yield any measurable result, in my opinion. You'd have to get really serious with it. You'd have to get the ECU flashed, that sort of stuff. Bass is saying, my '07 MDX rear differential is leaking. Do you recommend to rebuild it or seal it? Interesting. Where is it leaking from? Is it leaking from the axles? Or is it leaking from like the seals themselves? Obviously, that'll change the answer to that question, right? Because if it's the axles, it might be a sign that it's not the half shafts are not properly sealing the differential. I don't know. I honestly, I don't have an answer to that question. Sometimes it's really hard before actually seeing it yourself with your own eyes and experiencing to answer anything. But if you're not sure yourself, get a professional opinion, I guess, from a mechanic or a shop. The fragrance critic says your steering wheel install video is the best. I used this as a guide for my 2010 wood wheel. Awesome. It's always great to hear good stories. Oh, and yours has the pedals. Yeah, awesome. Spoiler alert. Would you find easier to do spark plugs on MDX or Lexus IS 250? Uh, Alexander, we talked about this. No more Lexuses. Okay? The spark plug change on Lexus IS 250 was the worst ever spark plug change in my entire life on any car that I've done it. And I didn't do like hundreds of them, but I probably did like 10 at least on, Acuras, Hondas, Fords. Lexus IS 250 spark plug change, the V6 was horrible. You have to remove well, you know it, Alexander, but some might not know. You have to remove the intake, or the plenum as they call it in Lexus. And well, let's just put it that way. It's not that great of an experience. The fragrance critic says, I just got in. Are you filming any more repair or upgrade videos on the MDX? Yes, the answer to your question is yes. I have already all of the fifth season in the material for the fifth season. I haven't started editing it, so it's gonna take a while, but the fifth season is already in. And you'll see the teaser trailer with everything that's going to be in it sometime in spring. But yeah, it's going on. It never ends. Thanks for your awesome and informative videos, says Jada Bright. Thank you. Oops. I jumped into the... And one sec. It's the legend himself. Why, yes. Thank you. Second gen, 170k miles, rumble noise about 25 miles. Do you know what it is? Um, Rumble noise. What kind of rumble noise? Like really hard. Look, some things are very common, right? Like, let me give you an example. Like somebody asks you, I have oil seeping or leaking around the harmonic balancer. The answer to that question is usually you have a leaking oil pump, so you'll need to reseal it or put new oil pump, and you need to reseal the oil filter assembly, not the filter assembly, but the what do you call it? The holder for the oil filter with the little filter behind it as well. So you need to replace that. So that would be usually the answer, because that's the likeliest reason for oil leaking or seeping, right? When you're asking about rattle, I have no idea what that rattle is. Does it rattle when you accelerate? Does it rattle when you brake? Does it rattle when you accelerate and put your foot off the gas, just cruising? Or does it rattle all the time, regardless what you're doing? Does it rattle more on the left side, on the right? Is it in the rear, in the front? Like, it's really hard to pinpoint, right? Can be a lot of things. Craig says, issue with evaporator drain. Sounded like water draining in the rear center console. I found issue to be the pinch valve drain in the center of undercarriage plugged with mildew. Problem returned. Interesting. I haven't had that issue. And knock on wood, I didn't have, won't have any issues with the second evaporator, which is for the second row. Sean is asking a follow-up question on the reverse reverse lights for the camera. Any bulb you recommend or brand? No, do not recommend any brand, but I've got all of my, well, not that's a lie, but most of my bulbs I've got from vleds.com. It's vled.com. Prepare to pay a premium when you buy from them. Uh, Again, I'm not sponsored by them, or, I have no dealings with them. But none of the bulbs I got from them ever failed, period. And I started using them in 2012, I guess, when I first replaced all of my cabin bulbs, like, map, dome lights, that sort of stuff. None of the bulbs failed. And it's almost like 8 years later, right? So you pay premium, but they're good quality bulbs. And, they constantly add new products. Some of the old products go away. So check them out and see if you can get anything from there. But be prepared to pay a premium. Or if you want to experiment, just get them from Amazon, right? You can return them if you don't like it. There you go. Great host. Thank you, Craig. Sean says, once COVID-19 is over, do you see yourself doing any MDX meetups in Toronto? Yes. Again, I don't mean to be negative, but COVID-19 is over. Probably gonna be COVID-20. Just saying. But yeah, I actually met a viewer back in 2019, I believe. He was a guy from US, but he was visiting his relatives in Toronto, and he just randomly popped up. I don't even remember how we connected, but I gave him the contact details, and we just chatted a little bit, and then we met and just had a coffee in Starbucks. It was awesome. I was really appreciative of everything that I did. Just like a real nice chat. So I'd love to have meetups, especially with so many subscribers now. So that would be great. Soothsayer asks, can you safely remove the heat shields on J-pipe? Oh, I guess you're asking about the... Oh, okay. Yeah, so I haven't done that. I can tell you that one of the things that that sits on the J-pipe is sort of like a wire um, cage kind of around the J-pipe, the fat pipe itself, right? That the flex, where the flex is happening. So apparently that rotted out and that just like fell apart. So I just took it off, and yeah. So I don't know if that answers your question or not. But if you were trying to remove rattle, rather than removing the heat shields, I would just secure them with a clamp. It's $2-3 in a hardware store, so no brainer. Sebastian Cardona is asking, truck has a sound like if it has a supercharger. Any idea what it is? You mean like a whining sound when you accelerate? Um, that could be your alternator. It's this really annoying whining sound. Like every time you accelerate, it's like, oh my goodness, it drove me nuts. So it might be your alternator. Check your alternator. Again, diagnose it first, obviously. Open the hood, listen to it, listen to where it's coming from. See if you can pinpoint it. I also use my breaker bar as the sound transferring device. So you just touch whatever component you're trying to listen and pinpoint the sound to, and just listen with your ear. Just be careful because there's a serpentine belt that's rotating constantly. So if you get your braking bar there, don't expect anything good to happen. So be careful there. And don't blame me if anything happens. Just be careful. Ben Jacobs is asking, what are your thoughts on using the J37 as a power plant for an old muscle car project, as opposed to a Chevy small block if you already have an engine on hand? Don't. J37 is not a muscle car engine. Also, it's a different direction engine. So it's not, you wouldn't be able to fit it in easily on a muscle car, right? As opposed to in a muscle car, like a Chevy small block would be a straight engine with a transmission behind it, right? That goes into your drive shaft, that goes into the rear, the differential, and then goes into the wheels. Here, it's sideways, right? Consider that it's sideways as opposed to the Chevy small block. So, and again, if you mean that you already have a J37 on hand, that's awesome. Just keep it. If you don't need it, sell it. You can get a good money for it. It's very expensive engine if it's in good condition. Or if you have an MDX that you're driving, keep it for that, just in case MDX engine fails at some point. Although it's very reliable, but who knows? Derek says that would make a horrible muscle car. I agree. Have a winding or winding or whining noise at startup. Sounds like pressurization of cabin, but loud for some reason. Then goes away. Any thoughts? Is it like an engine sound? Can you specify? Could be your starter, could be, I don't know. Without hearing, it's really hard to say. Soothsayer is asking, do you know how to get a good replacement for the defective wireless module that causes battery drains on the 2007-2010 MDX? Yes. Buy it from Acura. And it's not worth it. Two answers to that question. Just disconnect it and forget about it, just like I did 4 or 5 years ago. It's useless, but don't throw it away. Just disconnect it. Don't take it out. Leave it in the car. Just disconnect it and leave it there. Because I can tell you that if you go and properly diagnose the car with the OBD, like proper expensive scanner, you would likely need to connect the module back to get the proper diagnostics to complete. Because even at Acura, where they are supposedly doing it with the MVCI, they couldn't complete the diagnostics until they connected the Bluetooth module back, because apparently it causes some disconnect with the system, and the diagnostics module is not able to complete the diagnostics fully. So disconnect it, keep it in the car, connect it back in case you need diagnostics. Wow, so many questions, so many people jump in. It's great. It's awesome. Okay. Let me get some water. I'll be right back, guys. The audio is on. Let's get back to the questions. Kenneth Thrasher is asking, the belt tensioner for my 2014 MDX appears to have a torque screw instead of a 14mm bolt. Do you know if it needs a T47 size wrench? Sorry, have no idea. Haven't worked with a single third generation car. So I don't know. Hmm. Let's see. Can you guys hear me okay? All right, I'll just keep going. I hope you can hear me fine. Radiant Tones is asking, '07 MDX getting a knock from the front when I decelerate, then accelerate after. Is it a bad engine mount? Could be. Could be. It's really not that hard to diagnose a bad engine mount. Well, first of all, you would usually feel, I would say, unreasonable vibration in the car when it's in drive or reverse. But if you have a knock, it's probably really bad. Um, just you know, shut the car off and open the hood, look at the engine, and ask someone to start the car. If it's really like jumping inside, like it's supposed to vibrate, obviously, when the engine is starting, but you'll definitely see like if it's completely out of proportion, you know. So someone says, I have mobile OW20 as recommended by manufacturer, and I also use Fumoto quick valves on both 2014 MDX and RLX hybrid. What do you think about quick valves for doing your own oil changes? I hear mostly good, mostly good. They are not really cheap. I think the cost is probably like around 60, 70 bucks or something. So I don't know if it's worth it for me or not. I also hear some negative things, such as, people knocking them off with like rocks or driving off road and that sort of stuff. So that's probably something to keep in mind. Like if you're off-roading your car a lot, if you're driving it off-road, probably not a good idea, because if it's you can knock it off, or bend it or whatever. That's a hazard. But other than that, usually like positive things. That's what I hear. I don't use one. I don't want to invest in one. Like I'm fine as is. I made my peace with changing oil finally myself. Takes me 30 minutes now. In fact, I have a quick oil change video already shot. Haven't edited it yet. As opposed to my first video, which was like, it's not worth it because it's so messy and stuff. And like right now, I just don't care. Like after you do it a couple of times, you really don't care. Like half an hour, it's done. I don't even like use ramps or anything. Just do it as is. Turn the steering wheel all the way to the right, so you have space to get um, to your oil filter. You know, hug your car when you're doing it, because you really like it's right here. But yeah, that's it. Use it. If it works for you, perfect, awesome. I don't use it, but I don't have anything against it. Johnny 409459 says, I have a 2012 advanced package. When I'm traveling at about 30-40 miles per hour, at about 1500 to 1800 RPM, I get this fluctuations in my RPM. Feels like transmission can't find the right gear. I see. So that would be like probably fourth, fifth gear, depending on how you go. Interesting. That could be. I would attribute it to the transmission pressure switch as well. Could be that. Again, not an expert, but that's probably something I would look into. First of all, figure out what gear you're in, right? So when it starts to happen, just I guess switch to manual and see what gear the car is in, or if you can figure it out, otherwise, go from there. Van Ravi Shankar says, love you, man. Best Acura channel and one of the best auto channels in general. Great. Thank you for your kind words. If you just put a pause a little bit on answering the questions, which I'll resume. But fun fact for some of you might be that I actually had in mind starting my channel back in like 2014, 15, when I started taking it seriously, did my timing belt and stuff. But I guess I never had, worked up shouldn't say courage, but just, never got into a state where like, yeah, okay, I want to do this now. I need to start, right? And I didn't have any editing experience in video, so it was kind of like, I have to learn. I don't like it, like whatever. But then I started watching this Eric the Car Guy. I'm sure many of you know. Uh, Great automotive channel. I watched him ever since he, so to speak, used to be a douchebag, like a guy with, hair tail, like a little bit arrogant. Uh, and then I just watched him, year after year, and the transformation he went through is really mind-boggling. Like he helped so many people. And as I was watching it, like his channel was doing so great. He was doing all this stuff for these cars, and he's a former Acura technician. So when he was doing Hondas and Acuras, he knew what he was doing. And he was the person who inspired me, who kind of brought me through that final stage, right? From like, do I want to do this, to yes, I want to do this. I want to not mimic it, but I want to, in my own way, to become, so to speak, an expert on this and that can help people. And that's what was the reason behind like actually starting my channel. Um, we went to his meetup in 2016. That was his last meetup, unfortunately, because for many reasons, and now COVID, like there's no more meetups. But um, that was an event that kind of changed my mind completely, and that was what triggered me to start my channel after. Okay, getting back to the questions. Soothsayer says, can you do a video on the defective wireless module for the 2007 series MDX? I already did it. It's a very short video. It's a part of my quick tips videos. I have a playlist for that on the channel. Just look it up. Battery drain Acura MDX. I'm sure it'll pop up. The solution is simple. You take off your second row climate control by just pulling. You disconnect the module. You put the stuff back. Done. Forever. Alexander, what's your ultimate goal this year for this channel? My ultimate goal is to finalize your Lexus IS 250 spark plug change video and get on with my life, you know? This is just keeping me in the past in 2020. I guess it's a good segue for me to show a little bit of how the process looks like. So let's see if I can pull it up here. All right. Great. Okay, so what you're seeing, guys, is the Adobe Premiere, which is the editing software that I use for actually editing the videos. And what you can see here is the 2010 Lexus IS 250 spark plugs project. So just so you could have an idea of what an, so to speak, average project entails is, this is the assembly stage where you have all of your videos. So this is the GoPro I use, one of the cameras that I use. So 46 items, 46 clips that I have here from GoPro. Six videos with a boroscope. Yeah, these look good. And these are the main camera videos. Me taking it apart and Alexander helping. Of course, he would even help more if he didn't speak, but that wouldn't be fun, right? And then you put all these clips into this timeline here. And this is the timeline that corresponds to the actual video, how it's going to look like. So if we zoom in, you see not only it's a matter of just putting the clips in, but it's also a matter of cutting them, making transitions, manipulating audio, and you see it's like piece after piece after piece. It's like hundreds of different pieces put together. I see it keeps going. It's like already 20-minute mark. So we're looking at 20-minute video, right? And that's where I'm at. And it's like, and that's the actual final result that it's gonna look like. So I'm at the very last stage of putting everything back to the car. Unfortunately, the difficulty with this particular project is that, well, apart from Alexander's, talking too much, interfering with my concentration and everything, it's just, it's an enormous effort to actually do this, especially if you haven't done that before. It's not like MDX. You just, remove the, um, uh, basically you just remove the wires, you remove the coils, take out the old plugs, put the new back in, put everything together. Here you would have to remove the entire intake, or the plenum as they call it. So, like, let me just show you. Where is it? So this thing over here, this plenum, this plastic intake that they have, you'd have to take it apart and take it off. And you have to disconnect so many things, tubes, connectors, that sort of stuff. Like in the back, remove it. It's a nightmare. Thank you, Alexander. All right, let's get back to lovely face of mine. So that's kind of a sneak peek on what it takes, and I've already spent probably over 100 hours there, but it's okay. Okay, let's carry on. Mark Astro is asking, have you experienced getting a code SHAW7701 PCM CAN communication? Fail. How do you fix it? No, I didn't have any of those. Usually, so how the car is made is if it encounters any serious issue, even with emissions, for example, it can shut off the rear end. It can shut off the all-wheel drive system, and that could be the part of it. In this specific case, I haven't, I haven't dealt with that, so I don't know what it is. Brad is asking, not sure if it has been covered already, but what about replacing stabilizer bars on front control arm bushings or front control arm bushings? Front control arm bushings. Oh, okay, I see. So, front control arms, it's a tricky question because I don't do bushing replacements. I don't have equipment for that. I don't have a friendly shop I can go to get that replaced. So for me, it's mostly take off the broken part, put the new part in. So for the lower control arms, I actually have a video on it. And it's really inexpensive. I bought the aftermarket. I bit the bullet and bought the aftermarket part, which is the Mevotech from Rock Auto. It only cost me 250 Canadian dollars, which is in US dollars, probably like 180 bucks or something. So why bother? Take the old one off, put the new one in, move on with your life. In terms of the stabilizer bars, why would you need to replace a stabilizer bar? Is yours snapped or whatever? It doesn't go back. It's not like a a wear item. Unless it's snapped or bent for some reason, which is not supposed to, just leave it. Derek is asking, anyone having transmission juddering, or not asking, but saying, anyone having transmission juddering issues, all you need to do is drain and fill your tranny fluid, OEM fluid only. Agreed on the OEM fluid, but it doesn't necessarily resolve your issue, just replacing the fluid. It should. Again, if it doesn't, as I mentioned before, Probably your transmission pressure switch. I don't have any videos on that yet. Maybe I'll have in the future. Greg says, great discussions. Got to go make dinner for family. Awesome. Thank you, Craig, again for your questions and kind words. Enjoy your meals. Soothsayers ask, can you do a quick video on those Acura projector lights on the doors? Which projector lights do you mean? Do you mean the puddle lights when you open the door? The lights that light up the floor? Jeff M says, 2011 MDX, it does not currently burn oil at 55,000 miles. Do I need to be concerned about it burning oil in the future at 100,000 miles or more? Yes. You need to be concerned because anything from 2010 to 2014, 13, these engines tend to burn oil, and it's usually a lottery. You know, it can be fine, can be all right. I guess a lot depends on how you drive it. But for those of you who don't know the issue, and I didn't know either from before, but now I'm aware. So the issue with the 2010 to 2013 engines, those are the same engines as the 207 and 08 and 09 have, but they are a little bit upgraded. They use different pistons and rings that actually started causing the issue. The problem with this oil burning is when it starts to burn oil, it's usually already late, right? Acura has an extended warranty for that still in place. But what they do for the warranty is and actually I've seen a video of a certified Acura mechanic doing that procedure, doing the what needs to be done in that case when it burns oil. And I think it needs to burn more than a quart in between the oil changes or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but what they do is they drop the oil pan. I will obviously just disassemble basically the engine, remove the heads, and what they do is replace the oil the oil rings. And I think he replaced the pistons as well. But the problem with that is that, yes, you replace the pistons, and I'm not even sure about if they replace the pistons or not. Maybe it's just the rings, maybe it's both. But regardless, even if it's both, like, the damage is probably already done at that point to the cylinder. So replacing the rings and pistons would probably help to some extent, but it's likely that it's gonna come back, like, I don't know how soon, but it's gonna come back probably, because the scoring is probably already done to the cylinder wall. So I don't know. If it doesn't burn oil, great. What I would do is make sure you measure that oil level regularly. You know, do it on a weekly basis. Don't let it go past your eyes. Like, check it on a weekly basis. Put a reminder on your watch or smartphone or whatever. Check the oil level. If it's low, just add oil. Like, one thing, it burns oil, it's not great, but if it's gonna be constantly low on oil starvation is the end for the engine, any engine. Rick is asking, has anyone had the turn off car battery is low message, my MDX? Turn off car battery is low. I don't know. Check your battery. Check your voltage. Test the battery, and check the when you start the car, check what the voltage that comes from the alternator to the battery. Maybe your alternator is bad, it's not enough to charge the battery. That can be the case. Soothsayers is asking, can you also do how to reset the radio computers when you change out the battery? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Resetting the radio computers? Do you mean like putting the codes back in or what? Because when you disconnect the battery for a certain amount of time, you'll have to, when you connect it back or connect a new battery back, you'll need to enter the codes. So make sure you have radio codes. It's usually located in your service manual pouch on a card. It can also be in the glove compartment, depending on, like, see where it's at. If you don't have the codes, you can still get the codes from either Acura if you're savvy enough and patient enough to call them and get it resolved, or get to a dealer. If you can't do that, there is a third-party websites that provide these services for like 20-30 bucks. You can get some information they request about your radio to them, and they'll provide the codes back within a couple of hours or a day. I know that from personal experience because I had to deal with it, because I bought a different radio from Canadian radio with a metric system climate. That's what I wanted to do. And that radio didn't have the codes with it, so I had to use those services. Sean, thank you for your kind words. Voltaire is asking, pardon me, why does my 2012 Acura MDX auto window go back down after I try to auto close it all the way up? This is because you need to reset your switch, your window regulator switch. Pardon me, just bear with me here. Oh God, I hope it's not COVID. Okay, going back to window regulators. So sometimes that switch can be thrown off by like a battery change or some other electrical problem. So all you need to do is reset it. And obviously you can reset it with a scanner if you have one, but it needs to be like a fancy scanner, not a cheap one, like 20 bucks one won't do it. But you can do it yourself without any scanner. Just look up on YouTube. I don't have it. I probably should make a video. It's a good idea. But just look up on YouTube how to reset your Honda window regulator switch, something like that. It's a simple procedure with just the same, well, not the same, but similar to what you do to program your key fob yourself without any scanner. Like if you buy a new one or if you want to reprogram the old ones, it's very similar procedure. Like you do a certain algorithm of like turning the ignition on, doing some actions with the switches and stuff. You can reset it and it's going to be fine. It most likely will resolve your issue. So good luck with that. I hope you find the solution. Leon is asking, how reliable is the MDX from 2011 to 2014? Sorry, 13. Why I keep saying 14, I have no idea. So the 2010 to 2014 to 2013 cars are generally less reliable in terms of the engine, just because of the dreadful oil burning issue that the 2010 to 2013 engines are susceptible to. So if you're in the market looking for an MDX, second generation MDX, I would advise you to get a 07 to 09, preferably 09, of course, with just low mileage, the car that's been uh, really taken care of, that would be a safe bet, a safer bet. You'll miss on some technology, such as music Bluetooth streaming that the 2010 to 2013 cars have, and some other stuff like ventilated seats in higher trims, for example, that '07 to '09 don't have. Higher resolution, higher quality central screen on tech models and up. Um, the ability to record your own music to the hard drive in the car, that's there. And also for 2010 to 2013 cars, they do not have the DVD navigational drive under the driver's seat like 2007 to 2009s have. And the all the data, all the operating system and the navigational data is located on the hard drive in the car. So that's better in my opinion. Also some other changes like active cruise control, blind spot monitor, uh, that sort of stuff in higher trims. Dash Slash Boy says 50 likes. Yes, awesome. Derek says, "Hey, Dash Slash Boy, make sure your dad keeps the car for you." That's actually a very good point, and that's actually the plan. He's 12 now, so in a couple of years, hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll start learning how to drive. Oops, I skipped again. Oh, there's a lot of comments here. Thank you, guys. Wow, we're already into second hour. This is fascinating. I should do more of these, right? Okay, let's quickly power through. Have you ever, Sam asks, have you ever had any experience with check SHAW warning light? I only have front drive now, and a scanner says search coil sensor computer. As I mentioned before, this can be connected with a lot of things. The car usually shuts off the all-wheel drive with significant issue that might not be related to it. It can be wheel sensor, ABS. It can be even emission system. Like any electrical problems, it usually shuts it off just to prevent further damage or whatever. So um, I'm not sure what the coil sensor is in this specific context. If you're not sure, get it properly diagnosed, at Acura or Honda. You pay a little bit extra, but at least they'll tell you what it is and what needs to be done. And then you'll have to make a decision whether you can do it yourself, to fix it, replace it or whatever, or do it right there if the price is acceptable to you, or go someplace else, but you already have the diagnosis on what needs to be done to resolve the issue. So that would be my advice there. Gotta go. I have several projects on my MDX. Good luck. Leon says my RPM gauge bounces. Sorry, gauge gauge bounces randomly, but when I change gears, then it goes away. Do I need to change the transmission fluid or flush? Yes, change the transmission fluid first. See if it resolves the issue. Marty is asking, have you ever got so frustrated with a repair that you were stuck? Like, have you had the head of a bolt bust off and have to drill out threads? Very good question, Marty. So yeah, so my first actually case when I was stuck was the lower control arm, the front control arm video. This was really, really painful. Like, I couldn't get that dreadful uh, pin out. I took the knot off where it connects to the ball joint connects to the knuckle, but I couldn't take the pin out, so I had to bolt everything back. And on top of that, when I was wiggling that control arm with the knuckle, the uh, the axle went out of the transmission and spilled all of the lubrication from it on the control arm. It was so messy. I'm like, this was the most frustrated I was when I was, working on my car. In terms of the threads, I didn't have to drill any threads yet. That's something that's already set, unfortunately, for me in the future, because I don't know if you guys know or not, but there is a TSB for the compressor, the AC compressor. Some of the rattle, there is a rattle related. Oh, by the way, that might be the answer to your question regarding the rattle. So in some RPM, there could be a rattle that's caused by bolts that are securing the AC compressor to the block. The bolts apparently the original bolts used to be too thin, and at certain RPM it could cause them to vibrate and resonate within those the holes, and that's what caused the vibration and rattling. So I had that issue. I bought the bolts from Acura, removed 3 bolts successfully and replaced them. When I was removing the 4th bolt, it snapped. Like it's that sinking feeling when you when you going lefty loosey and it suddenly goes very loose right away. That was not a great feeling. Of course, I stopped right away. Like I couldn't get so I didn't snap the bolt off completely. It just broke off, but not entirely, not completely. So I just left it as is. Thankfully, that resolved the issue. The 3 bolts that I replaced, they keep the compressors, secure. But if I ever have to replace the compressor, that's gonna have to be drilled out, unfortunately. So hopefully, I don't have to do it in my lifetime. Giada is asking, missed question on '08 RDX pressurization noise, maybe front driver's side inside. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that question, and I kind of like I haven't had anything like that. First of all, I don't drive RDXs, so it might be related to RDX specifically, but I don't know the answer to that question. Marty's asking question or confirmation. When your '08 MDX was brand new, it did not come with synthetic automatic transmission fluid. The OEM oil was changed over to synthetic fluid. Yes. Simple question. Simple answer is yes. Complicated question. Answer is I got my '08 in 2011, so it was 3 years old already. So I got it as used. And you are correct. From the factory, these cars they came with a different transmission fluid. So they use one fluid both for the transmission and rear differential, which is called ATF-Z1, if I remember correctly. You can in fact still see the ATF-Z1 stamp on the rear differential when you go to change your fluid. I don't remember exactly where it is, but it's definitely there. So I think in 2010, Honda made a decision to get rid of that fluid, so not use it anymore for either transmission or rear differential, and they created separate fluids both for the transmission, which is DW1, and differential, which is the DPSF. And they are not interchangeable anymore. So you can't use DW1 in the rear differential, or you can't use the DPSF in transmission, obviously. those are not interchangeable fluids, and those are dedicated fluids specifically for those aggregates. So again, ATF DW1 for your transmission and DPSF for your rear differential. And trust me, you'll thank myself later, but use OEM fluids for that. They're not that expensive. They're great fluids. Never had a problem with them. Soothsayer says, your videos are well polished and very informative. Great channel. Thank you for your kind words. That's the aim. I've seen great videos on YouTube. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of crappy ones as well, which infuriate me. Like, first thing comes to mind is I watched a video on like a Volkswagen Jetta or something for an issue that Alexander had with his car. And I found this video where a guy is basically, I think it's like a 30-minute video or something like that. That old guy is doing is shooting the car from the side. So basically not showing like anything. And what all he's doing is just walking from the front of the car, sits in the car, doing something, walks out again, goes there, like a brief shot of the engine with like a shaking camera that you can't actually see anything. And then I see it's like 50,000 views that video has. I'm like, what is the value of that video? Like, how does it help people? And he's like blabbering about something for like 20, 30 minutes. Like, that's not that's not helping anyone, right? 50,000 views. I have no idea why, but whatever. So the idea of my videos are to be as informative as I can be, as detailed as I can be. Obviously, it's not always possible to get everywhere and show every single angle, but the whole point of the video that I'm making is that if I could do that, you could do that as well. Using this video, you should be able, if you have never done that before, you should be able to go from A to Z completely using this video only, right? You just go back to some stuff that you're not sure about, maybe see and compare how it compares to what you see in the real life with your car, but you should be able to do all of that. So that's the point, that's the purpose. Alex is asking a good question about a 2012 advanced package. When do you know when the ADS suspension is bad, besides signs like leaking or harsh ride? Is it gradual or sudden failure? A good question. The answer, it can be both. It depends. It really depends on like what the situation is, right? So if it leaks at some point, if it leaks, it goes bad very rapidly, right? You can feel it. Like, so the change will be sudden. But usually it goes out gradually, right? Like any other shock. So you probably won't notice it over time. But then at some point you're like, okay, so this is getting out of hand, so you need to do something about it. So if you're not seeing leaking, or if your ride is not harsh, if you're not sure whether it went bad or not, I would just perform a simple rocking test. So, have the car, first of all, have the car running, because if you're not running the car, the electric current does not go into your shock, so it's not affecting electromagnetic fluid there at all, right? So have the car running, and when you have the car running, just perform a simple rocking test. Open your lift gate, press the car, like bounce it, and see how it bounces, right? If it bounces really, it should, like, when you bounce it, it should bounce back really fast, and it should be very sturdy, like it bounces and that's it. If it's starting to rock and it's completely going like bananas, up and down, you can see it, it's very rocky, it probably means that it's going bad. That's what I gather. No longer have my MDX, says Vincent, but thank you for all the informative videos and DUIs. Saved me so much, brother. You're welcome. Thank you for your kind words. Marty, what is the name of the group on Facebook? Marty, if you haven't yet already, do you want to share the link? Marty says, hashtag make Acura great again. Oh my goodness. Uh, Thank you for behind the scenes. You're welcome. Yeah, this project is, trust me, it's a medium complexity project. The most difficult part about the Lexus editing is because this is not my car. This is something I've done once. It's really hard for me to put together everything is in a sequence that would make sense for everyone, you know? Uh, I can tell you that the valve adjustment video for MDX has been the most complicated video I've ever edited so far. It's like it took me what, over 200 hours or something like that. It has so many pieces. Soothsayer is asking, other than the MDX and the Lexus IS 250, what other cars do you plan on performing videos on? So I have the spark plug change on the IS 250. Also have the ATF and rear differential fluid change on that one as well. Oh, what else did we have? Oh, Jesus, I forgot. Oh, I have some old TL 2001 or 2003, I don't remember. Oil change, like sprucing it up, or small stuff, replacing small stuff, cleaning it up, that sort of stuff. Uh, I have the Nissan 350Z quick quick video. The filthiest car I have ever seen in my life, which took the three of us or the two of us. I don't remember if I think two of us. Yeah, two of us. It took us 4 hours to clean the inside. Small little two-seater car. It was so much filth in that car. I have no respect for the owner. I'm sorry, but you can't let your car that far, especially such a special car as a 350Z. But that's mostly cosmetic. Um, the AC belt, I probably done on that. And that's for the future videos. I have the material ready, not yet edited. Um, Other than that, I don't know. Whatever Alexander is buying, he's just basically taking me hostage and forcing me to work on his cars. That's his plan. Like, I buy a car, you do it, so I guess I'll have to do it. No, but seriously though, like, if you're not getting this as a joke, guys, just to clarify, that's just a joke. Yes, I enjoy working on cars, even if it's as frustrating as the Lexus IS 250. Still enjoy it. Do you have Patreon or other support for the repair? Yeah, I have a Patreon. It's on my page. If you go to my page, it's there. Dash Slash Boy says the editing is almost as difficult as shooting the video, but just a little bit less. Yeah, it depends very much on what you actually do. In case of the car videos, yeah, it's complicated. People tell me I have a face for radio. Yeah, as you can see, myself not a very photogenic person as well, but I live with it every day. Breathe in, breathe out. Okay, Soothsayer answered the question I asked earlier about the logo lights. Yeah, so those are really simple. Like you basically use your screwdriver but just carefully don't break the latch, right? That opens it up. I've seen some things that are sold that is just a replacement. So you basically take out that whole um, assembly, and you put back the stuff that you bought, like connect it and put back in, right? Or you can like if it's a logo thing or something. Um, I'm not a fan of logos being displayed in the puddle lights, so I'm not planning to do that. But I definitely replaced that bulb with the LED bulb from vlads.com. Not a sponsor yet. Derek says, when driving my 2012 Grigio Metallic MDX, fancy, women can't stop staring and dropping their jaws at me. My wife is getting mad because my car is so sexy. Should I clean it last to keep the attention away? What a wonderful story. Yeah, yeah. That would be your call. You know, maybe you want it. Who knows? David is asking, my '09 MDX won't start and jumping it won't work. It's a new battery. Um, do you have any lights when you turn your key? Do you see any lights, the dashboard lighting up? Any information there? Any errors? If it's completely dead when you turn the key in, it could be the actual ignition element issue. Some electrical issue, could be many things. So I would just get a, if you're not sure yourself, just get someone knowledgeable or a mechanic, take a look. These are fairly simple things to diagnose by a reputable shop. So oops, skipped, sorry. Jairus says, had an '07 Acura MDX. I had a problem with the check charging system flickering. Car would be beeping every time. I replaced the battery and alternator, but it didn't go away. Any ideas? Yeah, so um, if you, first of all, replacing the alternator doesn't mean that you fix your alternator issue. The issue was with alternator. Many aftermarket alternators are no good. Remanufactured alternators, especially aftermarket, many of them not good. So if it was the alternator issue and you replaced it and it didn't go away, it doesn't mean that you got a good alternator. Uh, these things should be diagnosed in a shop. That's all I can tell you. If you want to try again and replace your alternator with a good one, my advice, get a remanufactured OEM Denso alternator from Rock Auto. You can get the core cost back, so it's not going to be as expensive. And I think in 100% cases that I've seen on the internet, that resolves the issue. If the issue is with the alternator, obviously. Another thing that can be related to the battery issue is the ground and positive cables. They rot out with time, especially on such an older car like yours and mine. So replacing those might be a good idea as well. And you don't have to go OEM for that. Just get a good cable. That's aftermarket third party cable. For the MDX, if the car is alarming or beeping, how will you turn it off or stop the alarm? If the car keys fob unlock button doesn't work, will using the key to unlock the car work? Haven't tried that, don't know. Did you try pressing the panic button? Maybe it goes away, but generally if you open yeah, it's probably an issue with the key fob, right? So you either have a faulty key fob or the link to the car is broken. And in that case, you can use my video how to reprogram the key fob. I have an extended video on how to replace the key blade into the new key fob, and I have a short, quick tips video on what can be done with the key fob buttons. So you can use one of them. Dashlash says, I think more streams would be awesome. Yeah, I can see that now. So there will be more streams in the future. I have a 2016 MDX Advanced model. I hear one click sound when I reverse the car. It's only one click. I think it's coming from driver's side. Sammy, I know virtually almost nothing about third generation MDX. So it can be a car specific issue. I have no answer for you. I'm sorry. Monthly streams. Good idea, Marty. Good idea. Definitely consider that. Marty also says, glad to hear you plan on keeping your MDX for years to come. Yes. Thomas Hubbard says, my MPG on the highway only goes up to 14.6. That is wrong. Yes, I would say that is wrong. Pardon me for converting that into metric units. But that's how I operate, USSR. Okay, that's 4.6. Why didn't it? Okay, here we go. 4.6. That's like 16 liters per 100 kilometers. That's very low. That is very low. That is definitely wrong. That's definitely wrong. It's too low. That MPG is too low. I have that MPG. I have actually better than that average MPG. So the B mileage. So, do you have any errors? Do you have any misfires? What gas are you using? Are you using at least 91 octane gas? When was the last time you changed the spark plugs? What's the mileage on your MDX? That sort of stuff. What oil are you using? Lots of contributors, right? Mince XT6 says your videos are golden. Thank you. Let's see if we can get them into the platinum category. Alexander says, don't worry, I'm on the market for the vehicle for Bogdan. Thank you, Alex. That's very promising. Yeah, I'll look for some cars for you on Facebook later. Okay, says, hey Bogdan, have you faced noisy heater cooler fan in cockpit inside dashboard somewhere near front passenger? Yes, I have, as I'm sure the vast majority of the MDX owners. This is caused by the air mixer motor. That's well, one of them. If it's located in the dashboard somewhere near front passenger, it's usually right in the middle of the car, of the panel, and it's located. You can access it through the driver's footwell. In fact, I already have a video. I had the same issue. I've resolved it. Well, I'm not the only one, obviously, that resolved it, but it's a fairly simple fix. But the complication is to get there and to get this out and to put it back in. It requires some dexterity, and it requires some specific position of that thing when you're taking it out, making sure when you take it apart, you need to make sure that the parts don't lose the position they're in before you disassemble them. And how you put them back in, that should be exactly like that, to avoid any issues. But fairly simple fix. You don't need to replace the whole part. You can just try and lubricate it and reseat one of the parts inside on the motor. I already have the video shot. I'm sorry I can't give you the timeline for when that goes live, but it will. It will. Again, the question about the Patreon. Yes, I do have Patreon, and it's in my channel. So when you go to my channel, it says on the right, in the right upper corner, it says Patreon support. And I already have one patron. So I'll put it in chat. Marty, I'm glad you have your son help you. Great dad. Yeah. The thing is with help, yeah, he helps me a lot with some technical questions, and he even participated in some of the editing before. My idea was to get him interested in repairs, but obviously it needs to be done in a natural way. So I can't force him, like, go help me or whatever. And that's only one thing. Like, another thing, when I'm shooting these videos, it really takes a lot of time. And when I do that, I would say I kind of prefer being on my own myself, because it helps me concentrate. It helps me kind of like, it's a meditation, sort of meditation for me, right? So when I do that, like, I prefer not to have any interference from anywhere, So while it's great to have someone help you at times, and it's irreplaceable, you know, in some times, but most of the time I prefer to do it myself. So I prefer him help in some other capacity, which he does. Colin or Colleen says, hello, I have a 15 Acura MDX. When going 35 to 45 miles per hour, either going up or slight incline, flat surface, I'm assuming. It seems that the transmission is not shifting into a lower gear. Yeah. So again, don't have any experience with the third generation MDX, but I think a lot of people are complaining about the transmission issues in specific year MDXs, and I think 2015 is one of them. I believe it's a 9-speed transmission issue or something along those lines, which were not great, if I'm not mistaken. Azamat is asking, navigation DVD sometimes does not work. What might be the reason? Cheers. Usually, if your navigation DVD doesn't work, it most likely, unfortunately, means the drive is on the way out. So you can get it repaired. It's not cheap, but my advice would be get a used working drive off eBay if you have access to that. You might have difficulty pairing it with a vehicle, because I think there is a code that you need to enter or use. Not sure, I haven't done it myself. I only heard about it, but you can get yours repaired. But it's not cheap from what I hear. So if your doesn't work sometimes, most likely, unfortunately, it's the drive issue. It can be also the disc is scratched, but it's usually the drive, unfortunately. Okay. So, oh my goodness, we're at 2.5 hours. Okay. Let's wrap it up by 10 p.m. Eastern time. Okay. Let's do a short break. I'll go get some more water. I'll be right back, guys. I'm back. What did I miss? Okay. What's the best way to support you and your channel? First of all, thank you all for your support in forms of likes, dislikes, subscriptions. So that is more than enough for me already. If you want to support it financially, there's Patreon, there's PayPal donations if you're up to that. I don't know if Super Chat is working here or not. Ben Jacobs asked, would you take my J-Swap Nova for a spin at the first meetup? In all seriousness, love your videos. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Ben. Absolutely. Okay. Marty says, I noticed fuel mileage improvement after swapping spark plugs. Yes, that could help. Alexander, another spoiler alert. Oh goodness. Do I want to read this? Bogdan, I'm in process of negotiating for 2004 Acura RSX. Yes. Yes. Lovely. 2004 Acura RSX. I hope it doesn't have more than 200,000 kilometers. Ben Jacob says, glad to be your second patron. Nice. Awesome. Reload. 2 patrons. Awesome. Thank you, Ben. Jerez, any way to upgrade reverse camera on a 07 MDX? What's wrong with yours? Does it not work? Just hit 200,000 miles, still going strong. Don't want to sell it. Love it. Yes, I'm with you on that completely. If you're not satisfied with your camera, I don't know, you might try some aftermarket solutions, but you would have to splice into the existing wiring in order for it to work properly with the reverse as it is in the car right now. Sandra says, hi, I have a 09 MDX and the heat only works on the passenger side, blows cold on the driver's side and rear. I tried changing the driver's side actuator, no luck. Any advice? Yes, so okay. So you're saying that if you put the heat, it only works on the passenger side, but drivers still blows cold air. I don't know. Could it be? Did you try? Turning the AC off or on? Is it different when you turn it off, for example? And do you live in cold climate? So by blowing cold, do you mean like if it's like winter and cold outside, for example, you put the heat on and it still blows cold? That's what I'm assuming on the driver's side. Yeah, if you replace the actuator on the driver's side, I don't know. Unfortunately, I haven't got these issues, so I don't know how to help you. And I don't know what the solution would be here. Marty says, sounds like the 5th season is coming out and the teaser is in the spring. Yes. OK says, fuel mileage can be improved by keeping tire pressures also at certain PSI. Also, while driving less than 60 miles an hour, I'm achieving 26, 27 mpg, which is... Yeah. I have anywhere from 25 to 27 mpg on the highway. when driving at reasonable 65, 70 miles an hour as well. So that's about right. Where is my stream? There we go. About the tire pressures, yes, 33, 34 might be a little bit much. I would say it's 32, but good advice. Alexander says 165K, which means 100,000 K miles. 100,000 K miles or 165K kilometers. Allegedly no rust, no rips in leather, 2 sets of wheels. Allegedly no rust. 2004. What, did he not drive it and keep it in the warm garage all this time here? I wouldn't trust it. Okay. Wow, I got to the end of the chat. That's amazing. Oh my goodness. This is so much fun. I had no idea, honestly. I've never done any of these. I'm like I'm teleconferencing all the time. I have like anywhere from usually like at least 2 to 6 meetings a day on my full-time job, but it's obviously it's very different, right? Because the attention is not concentrated on you because I'm here, the only one here in the camera, right? So, and sometimes, like most of the time, you just turn the camera off and listen. And when you have to contribute, you contribute. But it's not only one-man show like this one, right? But it's so much fun. Yeah, I'm kind of like I was missing out on this for sure. Like this is gonna be a thing now. Live streams, awesome. I have to get some tea prepared in advance with some lemon because it's like speaking for almost 3 hours straight. It's not great for your throat, but I still love it, enjoy it. Alexander says we have 2 cars to check tomorrow if you have time. When? Aren't we celebrating your birthday tomorrow? Derek asks, or says, I get around 13 mpg. What would you replace to increase mpg? As I mentioned before, well, first of all, what is you have around 13 mpg? What is it? Is it A? Is it B? I mean, is it immediate or is it average? What kind of gas do you use? Are you using at least 91 gas? Is this 13 miles per gallon city driving, or is this highway driving? If it's highway driving, it's really bad. So check that, see if you have any errors. How long ago have you replaced the spark plugs? What oil are you using? That sort of stuff. Also, another thing I didn't mention before, sometimes your caliper pins can be stuck, which causes extra friction on the brake pads to the rotors, which obviously contributes to your bad MPG as well. So check your brakes. As I always tell everyone, service your brakes regularly. I do it twice a year every time I change the tires from winter to all season, or vice versa, which I do twice a year. You taking the wheel off anyway, it takes literally 10 minutes to service, one wheel. Unbolt it, put it up, see if the pins are okay, clean them up, lubricate them, put that back in, put everything back together. Trust me, this will prolong your brakes life, your brake pads wear, your mileage, MPG, your reliability of the vehicle. This is one of the best things you can do outside of regular service, like changing oil and all the fluids. Rommel says, I have '04 Acura MDX heated seat on the driver's side not working. Interesting. I did check the fuse, still good. I have 487K kilometers. Thanks. I think we have a long mileage winner here. 487 kilometers. That's over 300,000 miles, guys. Kudos. That's awesome. So, very coincidentally, my heated seat on the driver's side is not working as well on my 2008 MDX. And back in 2020, in May, I bought two almost completely brand new seats from a 2008 or 2009 MDX sport package from US. And these two seats are stuck in California in a warehouse somewhere because of the COVID. They cannot transport it. So Alexander is helping me, right, Alexander? You're helping me out with getting the seats here to Canada so we finally can replace them and shoot a video on it, right? Right? I hope so. So yeah, I don't know when I actually get them, but hopefully I'll get them here. So if your heated seat, I am assuming it used to work, but it stopped working. Most likely, it's just wire. It's just a broken wire, and it can be obviously in any place of the circuit where it breaks. As I think, if I remember correctly, it usually breaks at the point of where the wire actually goes into the seat, to the whole thing, the coil that heats up. So you would need to disassemble the seat and see if you can repair it or solder it back. When you do that, make sure that you have your radio codes. Make sure that you disconnect your battery, and make sure that what I would do is I would disconnect the airbag as well before disassembling the seat. Make sure the battery is disconnected, right? If the airbag goes, not a pleasant experience. Alexander says we're looking at RSX and TSX tomorrow. Yay, I'm very excited. Derek says average MPG reset A and B after filling with premium 93 new plugs, all city miles. You get 13 MPG on 93 fuel, all city miles. Yeah. Yeah, if it's all city miles, it can get up there. 18 liters per 100 kilometers or 13 mpg. City miles, it's, yeah, I trust that. That can be a thing. I know guys in post USSR usually drive their cars very hard, which again, have nothing against. I drive the car very moderately. My average MPG is now 15 liters, which is what? Jeez. Okay, so my average MPG is now 15.5, 15.6, even 7. That's average, right? It's mostly city driving for me, but a little bit of highway. So your 13 all city driving is very believable. It also depends a lot of how you drive. Do you make all the stops, the stop signs and red lights before turning right as I do? That contributes to worse mileage, obviously. So, but it's very believable. If it's all city driving, yeah. All right. We're getting into the last 15 minutes. Marty says I have to go. Okay. Thank you, Marty, again. See you some other time. Alexander says probably next week when owner is back. Oh, that's good, because I didn't want to go anywhere tomorrow, right? Okay, let's see. O'Dane says, I got the P0430 error code on my MDX. What do you think caused it? Well, P0430 is, I think, one of the cats. If I'm not mistaken, it's the cat 2. So the MDX has three catalytic converters. Let's put it that way. Let's start with 3 catalytic converters on MDX. There is one in front of the engine. There's one in the back of the engine. So one serves the first cylinders on the front, the rear serves the cylinders on the back, and then there's a third one in the exhaust. The only 2 catalytic converters that are monitored with the sensors is the front and the rear one. So the P430, I think it's the Cat 2. So this code means there's the reading on the sensor says that something is wrong with the exhaust. So it can be a number of reasons, right? Usually it's the sensor. They go bad with time, so replacing the sensor might help. But it may be as well the catalytic converter not efficient anymore. So with time, it's possible that they get destroyed inside. So the contents of the catalytic converter is degrading and is just falling apart. So that can be it. You need to definitely dig deeper and see which one is it. Get it properly diagnosed and see if they say just replacing the sensor would help or replacing the cat would help, or both possibly. Okay, asks, do you guys have working driver position memory system? Mine forgets positions in a couple of minutes. Forgets positions, do you mean like the memory completely doesn't hold it? So, or do you mean, so the usual problem with the memory seats in the MDX, and I'm talking specifically about the 2nd gen, which is susceptible to that problem, is that memory module contains positions for a lot of things. It contains positions for your mirrors, side mirrors. It contains positions for your seat, the driver's seat. It contains positions for the steering column if you have that option turned on, like when you put the key in, it goes out to a specific position. So those are the things that are kept in that memory module when you program it to either 1 or 2. Now, the system is made the way that if returning to that position is interrupted by anything in the system, the algorithm stops and everything stops moving immediately. So it can be any of those components. What usually happens is it's one of the mirror actuators. So as you may know, there is a setting in the MDX that you can turn either left, which is the driver, or right, which is the passenger mirror, to go down in reverse. So there is a switch that usually stays in the middle, which means the option is turned off. You can put it to the right, it's going to be passenger mirror. You can put it to the left, it's going to be driver's mirror. And when you put the car in reverse, corresponding mirror will just tilt down, which is going to help you park, presumably. That's one of the things they teach you in the driving school, by the way, or driving instructor teaches, right? Put the mirror down, it will help you see the line when you're parking, reverse parking, for example. I have mine turned to the passenger. Although I have the camera and everything, it helps. With time, with so many movements of the actuator, down and up and up and down and up, the lubrication of that actuator dries up. There is a silicone lubrication there. As it dries up, obviously, the actuator may go bad. And sometimes it's irreversible, like you'd have to replace the actuator. which is usually accompanied by replacing the mirror because it's very easily broken. You need to take the mirror off the actuator to replace the actuator, and when you take the mirror off, you usually break the window, the mirror. Even in Acura, like at the Acura dealership, they'll tell you, we'll try to do it, but be prepared that you'll need to buy a new mirror because it's likely going to be broken. Anyway, because that actuator fails and or doesn't work, water gets in, like the lubrication dries out for whatever reason. That's actually what happened to my original mirrors, the small North American OEM mirrors that I had. The the passenger mirror, had the problem. And when it starts to get into the position, everything stops. The algorithm stops. The seat is not moving anymore. Nothing is moving. You have to press that button several times to kind of get it, like jerk it around, like it's jerking a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. At some point, it can start moving properly, right? But it means that you have a problem. So you can try and lubricate that passenger mirror or driver mirror, depending on what setting you have for reverse tilting. You have a very low chance of fixing that with lubrication, so you will likely need to replace the mirror actuator. That's the likeliest reason for that issue, but it can be any other number of reasons. You can have a problem with your tracking on your actual seat, like it's not, like the lubrication dried out or whatever, or the motor went bad, or there is dirt there that needs to be cleaned, whatever, and it's not properly moving. Again, as soon as one component is not moving, it stops. Sorry for extended rant on that, but where is Super Chat? Alexander asks. I don't know. Is it not there? Did I miss out on hundreds of thousands of dollars in chat? Hmm. Yeah, apparently there isn't. Oh God, I missed on all of those sweet, sweet money. All right, let me see if I can put it back. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we're almost done with the stream. Have some 5 minutes left. I don't know. Maybe I'm not eligible for Super Chat, Alexander. I'll definitely check that out. Next week for your seat sex, Alexander. Oh, that puts warmth in my heart. Michael says 2014 MDX navigation won't come on. I don't know anything about third gen, sorry. Okay, says the memory of all positions get completely reset without any change or interference, but mirrors go down in reverse. Okay, yeah, mirrors go down in reverse. It's just a setting on the mirror control module. It's not related to the memory at all. I mean, it's related to memory depending on what setting you have, but that setting should work regardless of the memory, right? It's not tied to the memory. Yeah. So if your memory settings get reset completely, I don't know, it might be the memory module issue. I think I only heard about one such occurrence. They had to replace the memory module. I don't know how expensive that is and where it is even located. I would assume somewhere at the door. Nolan asks how to fix it. Does anyone else has audio delay with Acura Bluetooth? I have 2014 Acura RDX. Sorry, don't know much about RDXs, especially second gen. But if you have audio delay with Bluetooth, I don't know if you can do anything. Alexander says no chat, no money. Yeah. Sorry to hear. Kevin says MD 2008 MDX mirrors go down in reverse but do not return to position. That's 99% the problem with the actuator. So try and spray some liquid silicone, like regular liquid silicone, behind the mirror onto the actuator. Like try to get there, or you know, get like a small spatula and get some of that silicone grease. You can use the same grease that I use for brakes, for brake caliper pins. And just get some on there, and you know, work it a little bit. Move the mirror with the control that you have. Alexander says that's typical Acura. Yeah, whatever. All right, guys, we're approaching the 3-hour mark. It's really remarkable. I had so much fun. I hope you know, I addressed all of the questions. At least I did my best to. I hope you had some answers that are, you know, that you can use, that are valuable for you. Sorry for everybody whose questions I couldn't answer for one reason or another. I'm not a know-it-all, and you know, if I had experienced something in the past, I would share. Alexander probably would be a better candidate for answering those questions. He has a much more rounded experience with a vast variety of different brands and models. So he would probably be the person to kind of be able on the spot to at least tell you in what direction to move in terms of your problem. But, you know, I'm not there yet. I'll definitely check my Patreon DMs. I haven't yet. Will do. Okay, guys. It's been a real pleasure. I will definitely take the suggestion for doing these on a monthly basis. Um, I I gotta say I really enjoyed it. I didn't think I would that much. Apparently, I'm a chatterbox. You know, I like to chat, which kind of surprised myself a little bit there. But okay. Um, yeah. Okay. Let me tackle one last question I have from Kevin Bentum here, and then we'll just wrap up the stream. Tailgate note opening by key fob on the or the door button. Change the cable in the driver door, still not working. Could it be the motor? Yes, it could be the motor. In which case, unfortunately, you're off to a bad start, because those are really expensive. It's like, as far as I remember, the whole assembly is like 600, 700 bucks, which is not worth it. But on the other hand, it could be the wiring harness in the door itself. I mean, in the tailgate itself. So that could be the reason as well. In any case, I hope you find what the reason is. My advice would be to get a good electrician technician to get it properly diagnosed and see if they can pinpoint what the problem is, right? So Okay, it's been great. I had a great time, had a blast, guys. I will definitely do it sometime again. I hope we can do it on a monthly basis. So we'll see if I can make that happen. But it's been really enjoyable, and I hope I see you next time. Check out some videos. I have a lot of videos on, maintenance and repairs. So if you still have any questions, just search specifically on my channel for those keywords. Maybe you can find some stuff that will help you. That's the hope. That's the idea. So again, thank you very much for joining me in this live stream, and I hope I'll see you next time. So all the best, guys. I hope your cars, you enjoy your cars and they don't break. But if they do, you know where to find some solutions. I hope that you will. So, all the best, guys. Stay safe, and I hope everything is great. And we'll see you next time.